Everyone, for this video we're going to discuss the Ma enterprises. We're going to compare the journal entries of the periodic inventory system and the perpetual inventory system. Okay, let us solve the transaction number from transaction number 1 to transaction number 6 by using the periodic chart of accounts and perpetual chart of accounts. And the requirements are we're going to make a comparative journal entries, net sales, let's solve the cost of goods sold and the gross profit. So I will be discussing to you the book, no, the since I wasn't able to include the data, so I'm going to discuss to you the solutions, and we're going to refer from the book. Okay, let me show to you the image, the solution written from the book. Okay, here are the comparative journal entries of the transaction number 1. Purchase on account 1,000 pesos units at 50 pesos. Okay, in periodic, now we debit purchases 50,000. We credit accounts payable 50,000. So since this is purchasing, you are purchasing an item on account, so on credit, so nangutang ka. So you receive purchases, then accounts payable imong gihatag nga mo promise to pay ka sa imong supplier. So to record blah blah blah. Okay, so you're the one explain here. You should make an indentation, then explain. So in perpetual, so as I mentioned to you from the previous discussion, that you're going to use merchandise inventory in the perpetual if your entry is purchases, purchase discounts, purchase returns and allowances, and freight in. So here, in periodic, you debit the purchases. So in perpetual, you debit also merchandise inventory worth of 50,000 pesos. So same credit accounts payable 50,000 pesos to record blah blah blah. Okay, so next transaction number 2, paid freight on purchases 600 pesos. So what is your analysis when you read the word paid freight on purchases? Okay, so some might answer freight in, ma'am. So some also answer freight out. So the debit is freight in since you are ordering items with freight already, with shipping fee already. So kasama no doon yung binabayaran mong shipping fee sa amount na binabayaran mo sa item na yan. Okay, so debit freight in 600 pesos. Cash is your credit 600 pesos to record blah blah blah. And in your perpetual inventory system, so you debit merchandise inventory. Again, freight in is merchandise inventory when you're going to record in perpetual. Then credit cash since you are paying freight in or freight on cash, 600 pesos to record blah blah blah. Okay, so next transaction number 3, purchase returns 20 units at 50 pesos. So you are di ba, when the transaction number 1 occur, you are purchasing 50,000, but in transaction number 3 there are defect of your items. It might be defect or factory defects or negligence by the customers, or there are expiry items or expired items you receive from your seller, so therefore you return. So what's your debit? Accounts payable 1,000, credit purchase returns 1,000. So remember, in your transaction number 1, you are purchasing, so you receive items 50,000, credit is 50,000. So for you to deduct your obligations to your seller, so ibaylo siya. Since this is credit, so you should put this one into the debit side. since this is credit, accounts payable 50,000. So you should debit accounts payable the return items para makuhaan imuhang utang. So credit purchase return 1,000. So in your perpetual inventory entry, so debit accounts payables in accounting title used, but the credit is merchandise inventory since purchase returns and allowances, as I said a while ago, that's a purchases, so merchandise inventory ang imong i-record na when you are recording to perpetual inventory. So 1,000 pesos so to record blah blah blah. Okay, so on transaction number 4, okay, so go back to transaction number 3. So if you are going to analyze, so since in the transaction number 1 you are purchasing 1,000 items, so in transaction number 3 you are returning the 20 items. So how many left? So the only 980 units is left, no, katong total nga imong na purchase. Okay, so at 50 pesos is the actual cost. Okay, so transaction number 4, sold on account 700 units at 100 pesos. Okay, so you are selling your items 700 units instead of 1,000. Of course, manindagog ka. So you are selling na malit ka, nangumpra ka og 100 kabuok. So imuha ra de pong paulian. So you are purchasing 100, nabalik nimo ang 20, so 980 ang imuhang limpyo, no? So you are selling 700 units, so naa kay nahibilin nga 280. So if you are analyzing, lugi ka kung wala nimo gibaligya tanan, but the amount that you are selling is 100 pesos per unit. So not anymore the actual cost, kay katong 50 pesos kay mao man tong pagpangumpra nimo, you are purchasing 50 pesos at per unit. So when you are selling, so nakaginansya ka, katunga pod. So just like if you are selling bag, you are purchasing to the Shopee, the bag is 50 pesos and you are selling that to your customer around 100 pesos. So katunga pod ang imong ginansya. So in this situation, you are increasing your price, no, instead of 50 pesos for the actual cost, so it turns to 100 pesos. So therefore 700 units that you are selling times 100 pesos is 70,000 pesos. So you receive accounts receivable because your customers are, or they are promised you, they are having the promise to pay or oral promise to pay because they cannot pay your items directly, so they are asking for a credit. So of course nakadawat ka sa ilahang oral promise to pay, accounts receivable, then sales, you sell the items to your customers, 70,000. So always remember, in periodic and perpetual, the same entry, no, accounts receivable 70,000 and credit sales 70,000. So in perpetual, there are explanation of the cost of sales, debit 35,000 and merchandise inventory 35,000. So in perpetual, we made 2 entries. You know why? Because the second entry reduces the actual cost of goods sold, 700 units at 50 pesos. So we're going to present our actual cost, no, which is the 50 pesos, since we are selling now 100 pesos. So we're going to show here, no, kung nisaka ba ta sa presyo or wala. So katunga pod 70,000, so 35,000 ang katunga nga iyang tubo, no? So 700 units at 50 pesos, so 35,000 ang iyang cost of sales. So katong iyang puhunan. Okay? Okay, so Transaction number 5, sales returns. Okay, sales returns 10 units at 50 pesos. Okay, so since 700 units naman to atong gibaligya diri no, kay sa pagpamalit na to nag-purchase tag 1,000, gibalik na to ang defect nga 2980 units ang nahibilin. So nga kita na po nagbaligya 700 units ra to ang gibaligya. So sa 700 units nga tong gibaligya sa customers, ang customers na pod nagbalik og 10 units kay na defect ang atong gibaligya. So nahimong 680 na lang ang ato ang na clear nga gipalit sa atong customers kay gibalik man niya ang 10 items, nahimong 690 na rather. Okay, so how did you get the sales returns 10 units at 50 pesos? So simply 10 multiply 10 times 100. So kay mao man ay imuhang gibaligya pag diari 100 man ang amount ani 700 units times 100 pesos. So if you are returning the item, so dapat ibalik pud nimo kung 100 pesos ang kantidad. So 10 times 100, so gikuhaan nimo nig 10 ning 700, 690 na ning nahibilin. So 10 times 100, so 1,000. Sales returns debit 1,000, accounts receivable 1,000 pesos. So same journal entry in the Perpetual, but the difference there is you're going to show the second entry. In Perpetual we made 2 entries, since in the second entry merchandise in the inventory was debited to increase the goods available for sale and credited to the cost of sales to effect reduction of the cost of goods sold. So how did you get the 500 pesos? You simply multiply 10, the 10 units returned to your supplier, and then times 50 pesos, since the actual cost is 50 pesos. So 10 times 50 is 500 pesos. So debit merchandise inventory 500, credit cost of sales 500 pesos. Okay, so next transaction number 6, actual inventory through physical count 275 units. So in transaction number 6, no, we simply debit merchandise inventory and 13,750. So credit to income and expense summary 13,750. So inventory at the end was set up based on the actual physical counting. So it is set up when you are set upping, or when you are doing the actual physical counting. So sa periodic, okay, katong nagmano-mano kag ihap, pila ang bubot mahibilin, pila ang sigarilyo, pila ka kindi sa kanang snowbar and so on. So imuha na siyang mano-mano og ihap. So in Perpetual, you use these entries: inventory short, baka or over 1,350. Then merchandise inventory is your credit 1,350 pesos. So under Perpetual inventory system, the difference between inventory per stock card of 15,100 and actual inventory per count of 13,750, which is 1,350 pesos, is debited to inventory short or over account, which is computed as follows. So here are the computation for you to determine how did you get the 1,350 pesos. Okay, so this is your formula. No, this is your formula used available for sale. So you're going to record the purchases. How much is your purchases in the journal entries here? So 50,000. Okay, so available for sale purchases 50,000. Remember, our freight in is 600 pesos. So we have the purchases returns, the defect items that we are returning to our supplier, 1,000 pesos. So 50,000 plus 600, so 50,600 less 1,000, so therefore 49,600 pesos. So less the cost of sales, 35,000 pesos minus 500. Remember here, 35,000 is the actual cost of goods sold. And here also 500. So 3,000, 34,500. So inventory and per stock card 15,100. So therefore you get this data or this amount 15,100. Then inventory and per physical count, when you are doing physical counting, 13,750 here. So inventory short or over? So what do you think? It is short or over? 1,350 pesos. Of course, this is short, no? Shortage ka. Kay ah pila man pag counting nimo ani sa mano-mano is 13,750, pero sa system 15,100. So if you are working in a certain company or business industry, so bantayi gid ninyo kay if ma-short mo or ma-over, magbayad gid mo ana. Okay, so like just og nanarbaho mo sa kanang Jollibee o company or any offices nga nagdeal mo og money, you are accounting money nga especially systematic. So make sure nga you should double count your cash nga inyuhang kuan sa inyuhang kaha. And then you should also count your items, the physical your items in your stock room for you to determine no kung pareho ba ang items nga imuhang total sa system o sa items nga nahibilin sa imuhang stock room. So when I was Jollibee crew cashier, no, so I really experience short and over when I am dealing with my customers in the past, no. So after I work, no, so the manager read, no, do reading in uh, my kaha, the point of sale. So it is found out there that the sales and the profit, no, the profit and how much is your short and over. So if ever ma-short ka, so there are tendency nga wa ka na nobra imong sukli sa imong customers, or it might be nga nagpasinsiyo kasi mong tapad nga cashier, so nakalimot kag kuha. And if there will be overage, so maybe you forgot to return change to your customers, so be mindful of that. And the sales will be affected also kay bantay tan-awon man among mga resibo kung pila ang imong na-dispose nga items, so it should be the same amount sa imong kwarta nga nadawat or nalikom or nahalin. Okay, so I think that's all. I hope this is really helpful for the comparative journal entries. Okay, so I'm going to show to you the net sales and the cost of goods sold. Okay, so here's the simplification, simplifying the illustration. So for example, you have at the beginning inventory 8 at 1,000 pesos equals 8,000 pesos. So plus purchases of 6 at 1,000 equals 6,000. So your available for sale is 14 units, so 14,000, and you less the cost of sales of 4,000, then ending inventory is 10,000. So let us assume that 10 units at 1,000 equals 10,000 pesos. So here are the given data, the cost of sales or cost of goods sold computation. So cost of goods sold, merchandise inventory beginning 10,000 pesos. So you are purchasing 80,000. So example, last April 30, your ending inventory is 10,000. So this coming May, so since the fiesta is nearly approaching, so your beginning inventory is 10,000. So mo ni nahibili nimong items or products sa imong tindahan from April 30. So beginning inventory na punin nimo sa May, you add purchases ng praka, beer, sigarilyo and so on, 80,000 pesos. add freight in to 2,500 since nag-purchase ka together with the delivery na, so kauban na adto sa bayad sa imuhang items, so 2,500. So gross purchase is 82,500. So less purchases, returns and allowances of 4,000. So na kay items or defects sa mga items nga na-expire na, so imong gibalik, then you are paying no purchase discounts, naka-avail ka purchase discounts kay nibayad maka og sayo before sa due date nga 3,000 to 7,000. So you simply less 82,500 to 7,000 pesos. So total of 75,500. So the goods available for sale is 10,000 plus 75,500 is 85,500 pesos. So you're going to less the merchandise inventory, and since you are counting physically of your items left in the business, okay, so 30,000 ang imuhang ending inventory pag ihap nimo sa imuhang nahibilin nga mga tanduay, mga lungnik or mga bugas and so on so forth. So cost of sales or cost of goods sold is now 55,500. So mo nang matinga, sometimes matinga ka, ma'am ngano 30,000 raman ako ang nahibilin, ako ang cost of sales. So it might be nga ang dapat mo ni imong nahalin 55,500, so 30,000 ra imong nagunitan, so 25,500 is unsa man nagkuha siguro ka gilawog nimo baboy no, gi imong gipamuwang nimo or gigasto nimo. So nagkuha ba imong igsuon, nagkuha ba ka dito mga tuyog, suka, so inyong personal needs. So always remember that you should separate your personal entity and your business entity kay para dili ka ma-deficit. So kung 30,000 ra ang imuhang nalikom nga kwarta, so deficit na kadtong 25,500. Okay, so hinga na siya ka importante. Okay, remember 55,500 is our cost of sales, so we're going to get the net sales. Okay, so our sales assuming is 100,000 pesos. So less sales returns and allowances 2,000 and sales discount 3,000. So 5,000 is our less from sales. So net sales is 95,000. So let us assume that 95,000 is our net sales. So we're going to deduct the cost of goods sold. So the cost of goods sold is 55,500. So to gain to have a gross profit of 39,500. But remember, this is not a net profit yet because we're going to deduct all the expenses, that salaries expenses if we are paying our labor or mga tendera, and the rent expense, the advertising expense, the utilities which is water or bill, kurente, electricity, and so on and so forth. So you're going to deduct the expenses for you to gain a net profit. So I'm going to ask you, is it profitable if more expenses compared to income? Okay, of course, it is not profitable. So you're experiencing loss if it is more in expenses compared to income. But if it is more in income, is it profitable or loss? Okay, very good. This is profitable because we are aiming for more profit compared to expenses. So basta daghan gani og dako kag income, okay, so profitable na dako kag income compared sa imong mga gasto unon, so it is profitable. Okay, so I think that's all. I hope it could add on from your knowledge or from your ideas. No, I hope it is helpful, and that's all for this video, and thank you everyone.